I always feel like somebody's watching me. What's up, Blue Jays? Sean Blue here. Took a little walk, a little bit in the rain, but not too bad. Beautiful day. I love cold, rainy days. I don't know why. I just love cold, rainy days. I don't like. A lot of people used to say like when I was younger, I used to say this. I like rainy days during warm weather, but that's not true because that's like all humid and stuff, and it's all nasty and sticky. I actually like cold, rainy days. Those are the best. The air smells all nice and fresh. The little birds love it. I remember when I was working at Ralph's. I remember I was doing the shopping carts like in the cold rain and stuff like that, or it was probably in between rain, but it was still cold outside, and I saw all these like little brown birds like in a puddle, big puddle, one of those big puddles, and they're all like singing and washing themselves and drinking water, and they're just loving it. They love those they love those cold rainy days. Yeah, and they were just like singing and hanging out in like this cold puddle, but they liked it. Okay. You ever heard of a punk rock band called the Dead Milkmen? I love the Milkmen. They're from way back. They're like from like the '80s, the '90s. Like some of their later stuff is like the '90s, so that just shows you how far back they go. Like they sing "Punk Rock Girl," and they sing "Big Lizard in My Backyard." They also sing "Beach Party Vietnam," "Surfing with the Viet Con," "Cooking Hot Dogs with Napalm." It's a beach party Vietnam. I also liked this one music video. It's still on YouTube. You can easily look it up. I forgot what it's called, but it's like the Dead Milkman, and it's like kind of like this one redneck guy, cause like sitting in a chair and he's talking about all these conspiracies and stuff. And I always loved it. I always thought it was funny. And I think he was like saying like it's the queers or he was saying like funny stuff like that. And I was thinking like, geez, I'm slowly turning into that guy, and it is like older conspiracy guy. Like I'm not old, but when I will be like in like 20 years, like this older like conspiracy guy, just like saying all this like wacky stuff. But you know what? These are wacky times. Like I remember watching a video with P Diddy, and when P Diddy was like a young guy, like he used to walk around with like a briefcase, and he was talking about how he was going to be like the Black Donald Trump, and people used to say that he was crazy, but he grew up in an area where everyone was either selling crack or smoking crack. So to get out of an area and survive that, you had to be a little crazy, like he said. So good for him. Good for him for making it. And like I agreed the same way. Like during these crazy times, you kind of have to be a little crazy to survive them. You know, you get all these pieces of crap politicians always talking about January 6th attack, on the Capitol, but they completely dismissed every Black Lives protest that happened a few summers back where they were burning down our cities, destroying this and that. They never talk about those bastards. So that just pisses me off. But, that's just how it goes sometimes. And you get all these like weirdos, like these weirdo transgenders talking about, I am not a he or a she, I'm a it's or a that's. Or it was like all this like goofy stuff that people are claiming what they are now, like I could say like, I'm a he she or a she he, like, and you're supposed to just take my word for it. And if and if you don't accept that, then I'm like allowed to get angry and like start throw a yeah, a tantrum, a fit, throw a fit, like a little 5-year-old. Because that's what crazy people do. You see crazy homeless people like schizophrenics just screaming and stuff like that. That's kind of like what those transgenders are. They're just a bunch of freaking nuts. Because and I love David Arquette. I love David Arquette, and I don't want to bring up his transgender sister that passed away, but I kind of have to. How like she was on the Surreal Life, or he was on the Surreal Life, and he was just acting up, and he was like throwing like chairs and stuff like that, and like all this like shit at this one guy. Why he thought the guy was staring at him, and the guy wasn't even staring at him. And even if the guy was staring at him, that's no way to react to someone staring at you. Start throwing a bunch of shit at the guy. Because one of the guys from like that old show Chips, he was actually hanging out with the why it was this real life. It's a bunch of old celebrities all hanging out, and the guy was actually looking at that guy from Chips because he was a fan of Chips, and the transgender thought that the guy was looking at him, and he wasn't. And yeah, and you hear all these like other like freaking nuts. I forgot this one guy's name, but he's in prison because he might have raped his own mother, and he was like a freaking transgender person too. And Yeah, and like I hate how like politically correct everyone is. How you can't call these fucks out, and yeah, and nobody's really doing anything about the homeless too. It's just so freaking aggravating. But you got to keep your hopes up. You got to keep on going. I got to just keep on drinking tea or coffee out of this cool Mike Myers mug I got from for Halloween. So you gotta look at like the positive in life and stuff like that, and like yeah, you gotta be a little crazy to survive these crazy times. But yeah, everyone, cause out there, cause keep on hanging on, keep on doing good. I might drop some more videos. Okay, okay. Before I click out, things like Jeffrey Epstein's Island and all this like weirdo shit like that. There's been so many weird stories about different types of celebrities being called out, different types of politicians being called out in this country, in England, in Australia. There's a lot of stuff being called out in Australia from like way back. Like I don't want to badmouth this individual because I actually like this actor in movies, but in the Road Warrior with Mel Gibson and the guy with the red mohawk and the guy with the metal hockey mask. There was this one character in it. He was a good guy. He flew like this little helicopter thing, this like little helicopter, and he was fighting the bad guys with the Chiz Boys. He was fighting those guys with Mad Max, and there was this one Australian woman was calling that man out. The man that was flying the little helicopter thing in the Road Warrior. That like that he was like a freaking creep and he bothered people like kids and stuff. Apparently, I don't know if this is true. I don't know how much you can rely on this woman with telling the truth, but these some of these people have such wild stories. She's that one woman that talked about how there was this one guy, this one like John, like a guy that picks up prostitutes. This one John, or maybe it wasn't John. Either way, he might have been in a part of the cult, or he might have been just some John that was paying for her, who was a teenager at the time. And like something happened where he didn't want to pay, or something, or he was a member of the cult, but like something went wrong where like he screwed up or whatever. And he's like four biker guys like tied his arms and his legs, and this is in the middle of Australia, like in the outback, and they just like turn on the motorcycles all at once, and they apparently rip the guy's body in half like in four different pieces, just pull that guy apart. And he was like a bad guy apparently, but like, whoa, what a way to go out. And yeah, so like, yeah, you hear all these like crazy shit, whether it's true or not, or whether it's some of it's true. But a lot of people have stories like that, and some of them are very similar to other people's. And there's no way of the victims knowing each other, but they do have similar stories. It's really bizarre. All right, guys. Well, peace out for now.